Wow. What are the odds of that?
Oops.
All right. We'll take a break on that.
Have a breather.
Welcome to the No Limit Boxing Podcast. I'm your host, George Rose. This is something that's been in the works for quite some time now. We've been talking about it for a number of years, and we've finally put it together for 2024. We want to do things big. We want to do things different. We had a really big year in 2023, and this is a part of what we're doing. We're fucking shit up in 2024, and I'll try not to swear through the podcast, but I'll do a better job of that. Our first guest for the opening debutante inaugural podcast, Sam Goodman. Absolute pleasure to have you on here today, Sammy. Welcome.
Yeah, on debut, let's go. So, good to be here. Good to be first on.
Look, we're both on debut, so anything could happen here. We'll try and share a little bit about what's happening at No Limit Boxing, what's happening with Sam Goodman, and keep everybody in the loop because, like I said, it's a big year for boxing, plenty happening, and I think it's going to be a great year for us. So I'm going to follow my sheet. I'm going to follow your lead and see where we go with this one. So I think one of the things that I'd love to be able to do is talk a little bit of the news in the boxing world at the moment. I think the most recent card that we all saw was the Beterbiev Smith card. Massive one. Great fight. A few Aussies on that one. Rowan Murdoch, Jason Maloney, both performed well on that one. And interesting card, wasn't it? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a bit of mixed results. It was awesome to see Jace defend his world title and get a win up. So he's flying the flag for the country, and it was a tough fight, but he pulled through and he was tested, but I thought he'd done enough to get the dub. But look, it was it was a cracker fight, and probably already a contender for fight of the year. Early on. So, and then Rowan Murdoch, I couldn't believe how he was so tough, so willing, It was, I was impressed by Rowan, because the other guy was strong, top ranker, big on that guy. And look, he went in there, against the home fighter and, put on a good display. So he's back to the drawing board, but, he'll be back and ready to go.
Really good fighter. I thought he was a bit unlucky too. It just didn't seem to go his way. He did it on the night. He's a fair specimen too, Rowan Murdoch.
No, absolutely. He's got it all. But look, he was up against it a little bit in terms of going into his backyard and against a guy that's undefeated and just an absolute physical specimen. I think he's a part of Beterbiev's camp as well. So. Look, he's, obviously getting the best training, best sparring, and I'm pretty sure they were all saying, he's the fittest guy in that camp. He just goes and goes and goes, and he's an absolute... I did heard that. He's a specimen, he's so strong too, so...
Yeah, well, I thought Rowan's a very fit bloke, and, the fact that he was, outworked by that guy was massive.
Yeah, it was massive, but I was super impressed with how tough he was. He was so willing and so tough, He couldn't put him away, so yeah. It says all you need to know about Rowan Murdoch.
No, nothing but respect for our Aussies who travel abroad and put it all on the line. And you touched on Jason Maloney, very close fight, split decision win. What do you think of that one? You've trained with Jason.
Yeah, I've done plenty of rounds with both Andy and Jace. They're good fighters, been around for a long, long time, and done all the work to get into the position they're in. So, look, they're real good fighters, real tough, hard-working, and it showed in the fight. I thought especially later on towards the back end of the fight, Jason showed why he's the champion, and I think that's what got him over the line. Those later rounds, I think Jace really put it on him a bit, started going forward, pressing the action, and really started to put a hurting on him. I thought the earlier rounds, probably favoured the Mexican, but once Jace found his groove and got a bit of momentum, the tide started turning, and I think, if it was a 15-round fight, it probably would have suited Jason even more.
Yeah. Got to be a scary moment, though, when you're standing up there at the end of a close fight, not knowing which way it goes. How does that feel?
Oh, I've been there, It's terrifying. So, especially when you hear split decision and you just wait and you're hearing scorecards for the other bloke come out, it's not fun. Thankfully for me, it's only happened once, but... Look, it's not a good feeling, You'd rather those, unanimous decision, you got a good feeling before whether you won the fight or not, I think. But look, it can all get taken away from you that quick, and so many times you see in boxing a shit decision or a decision you just think like, yeah, it blows your mind. So, and especially when you're going abroad, half the time I think when you hear that split decision, do you expect it or? So I think it would have been a little bit of a frightening moment, but thankfully, he pulled through and he got the win.
Comes home with another belt, another Australian world champion. Now, look, we've got a lot of fights coming up this year. We had a really good year in 2023. We've got a lot of fights to announce coming up this year. A few of them, including your big fights that you'll have coming up this year. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But what we might do first is we'll just go through a little bit of your life story, how you got to where you are. Tell us a little bit about who Sam Goodman is, where you're from, how you got to here.
I'm from Albion Park, and to be honest, I started boxing really. I was loved me footy. Grew up playing footy, and that's sort of where the Mad Bunch was born. My dad, always on the piss at the footy club, and he played for Albion Park. But look, so that's how that all came about. But I was boxing. I didn't really look at boxing as an idea. My cousin boxed a bit, but look, I got injured playing footy. I dislocated my elbow, and to be honest, I was massive into all my wrestling, and I wanted to take up that.
What are we talking, WWE? We're talking
I
real
like
wrestling.
WWE, but my dad was going to put me into like proper wrestling. He's like, yeah, it's not like WWE. I'm like, yeah, whatever, mate. I'm fucking jumping off ropes. Like that's what I thought going into it. But yeah, so I was going to do like Olympic style wrestling, just down at the PCYC and go learn a bit. But after I dislocated my elbow, my old boy thought, probably not throw you straight into getting like arm bars or getting put into locks. He goes, why don't you try boxing? Your cousin fights. And I was like, righto. So went to the gym and, enjoyed my first few sessions. And then not long after that, I was sparring. And after, you start sparring and you start getting into it, it's addictive. And it's slowly sort of started taking over the footy. Once I started fighting and you win your first fights, nothing beats that, So even like when you win a footy match or whatever, you're winning alongside all your mates and stuff, but it just didn't compare to boxing. And once I won my first Australian title, the decision was made, it was done. So I was just like, nah, I'm never looking back.
Just on your footy career, what position were you?
I was hooker.
Hooker?
Slow hooker.
Yeah, slow hooker.
Good service, couldn't run.
And who was your team?
Albion Park Eagles. So
Sea Eagles? Eagles or Sea Eagles?
No. I played for Albion Park,
Yeah,
but
right.
I support the Dragons. So I grew up going into Wynn Stadium and
fair
getting up on the hill and still do that when I can and when I get a bit of time to go watch the boys. But so I've supported the Dragons since my dad played off lower levels for Steelers and stuff like that back in the day. So I was sort of
He looks like a tough bastard too, your father.
Yeah, he looks like a boxer. He's got the boxer's nose and the old shaved head, but yeah, he's not a fighter.
So when did you realise that you were good at boxing?
To be honest, I've always, I reckon, almost a bit delusional in ways. I probably thought I was better than what I was at the start. Thought, fuck, I'm all right at this. But you have moments where you get checked and your ego gets brought back. I remember the first academy camp I done with Joel Keegan. I went up there and it was like learning a fucking different language. Like some of the drills I was getting shown and getting put through different things. I was like, mate, this is off its head compared to what I've been doing. I've just been sitting in front of a fucking punching bag sort of thing. But it was, so that was an eye-opener. And once I started getting more into the academy and I started progressing a bit more. But like I said, you still have those moments where you get that ego checked. Like I went to China, had a really good trip in China when I was about 14 and went pretty well against a few of the Chinese boxers, came back thinking I was shit hot. 2 weeks later, we go to England and I was sparring a few older kids in England, but, they were getting the better of me and I was fucking doing my head in. So I was like, that was sort of one that brought me back to earth. But, so you have those moments where you got to remain level and remain, stay a bit humble and not get too ahead of yourself and where you're at and just constantly focus on the progress, on the process and stay consistent.
How much of an impact has Joel Keegan had on that? You mentioned a little bit about the relationship with him. How much of an impact has he had on your career?
Oh, massive. Without him, I wouldn't be boxing. It was as simple as that. So, I wouldn't be near where I'm at. you know, him and Luke Phipps are probably the reason I've got to where I've got to where I've got to so far. So, look, if I can't win world titles with those guys, I can't win them with anyone. So, look, I think I've been well travelled. I've been overseas. I've seen many different coaches and many different styles, and I truly believe that they are the best in the business. So, look, they back me all the way, and you know, they say jump, I say how high. So, I just keep following the plan they've got in place, and yeah, it's working so far, and we're going to keep doing it.
Well, you spend plenty of time together too, don't you?
Oh,
You have to be the most travelled bloke in Australian boxing, the amount of Ks that you do every week.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm pretty much based full time up on the Central Coast now. I get back home and see the family when I can, and when I'm in camp, it's probably a bit less travel because I'm staying up there, you know. So I might get back once every 2 weeks or once a week maybe, but look, it's full on, but you know, I live with Lukey now, and it's good fun. So I enjoy my time up on the coast, and it's it is a lot of time together, but that's what you got to do in camp. You know, you're constantly training, constantly in the gym, and that's what it's about. You know, I love the lifestyle as well. You know, I feel good when I am training like that. It's the best, you know. So when I'm sort of out of camp, it messes with you a bit, you know. So it wrecks the way you live a bit.
Yeah. You mentioned you've travelled a little bit over your amateur and pro career. What's it like rolling into new countries, new gyms, and what's the hospitality like when you roll into these new gyms?
It's different areas is probably different hospitality, and especially now that I'm pro. Like the last trip to America, like I warned a few of the boys because I seen it a little bit in the amateurs where, you know, the American fellas, they'll try and talk shit, and they'll try and put it on you. I told a few of the boys that, like, it was their first time over in America. I'm like, they're gonna put it on you. Like, we expect at some of these gyms that they're gonna go you. Like, they're gonna talk shit from the first bell. My first sparring a guy he's undefeated. He's a pretty good fella, and mate, straight away from the word go, then they look at you, especially being a white kid from Australia, like blue eyes and shit. They should write you off completely at the start. So. But I was ready for all that, and look, after every spar, I think I earned my respect, and the shit talk it dropped off pretty quick. So look, that last trip to America was a big building block for, I think, how it worked out as well with the fight falling through in Vegas and stuff. It probably worked out better, so I got more rounds in, got a heap of high quality sparring, and I came back from that trip going, fuck, I know I'm up there not just among the best, I can beat the best, you know. So guys that were bigger, a couple of guys I sparred that were red hot, that were small, like Bam Rodriguez and stuff, and you know, guys like that who are at an elite level and operating, you know, they're in pound for pound lists, and talk to amongst those sort of guys, and I was really happy with how I went with everyone over there. So that trip for me was very, very assuring of where I'm at and the work we're doing.
And so off the back of that, that was prior to which fight?
TJ Behenny.
And then I feel like your growth in 2023 has just skyrocketed. You had some really good performances. What was your most memorable performance for that year?
I think you'd have to go with the Aleem one. I think the TJ
100%.
fights, the TJ fights one that, in hindsight now, or looking back now, it's probably aged a bit better. He's went to Japan twice and beat two of the, you know, best ranked fighters in the division. So that one's probably aged pretty well. Everyone, when I beat him, said, "Oh, he's over the hill. Yeah. He's done. He's no good anymore. He's not what he was." And now he's just went and had two really good wins, and he's ranked, I think, in the top 6 or 7 in Ring Magazine. So, but the Aleem one was massive. That was one that before I was. But not read them, but like me mates, always, I don't know why they do it. They'll screenshot shit that's online, and they'll send it through to me of like someone roasted me or whatever, saying I can't win.
That's what mates are for, right?
Yeah, 100%. They let me know and don't let me my ego get out of check, you know. But they'll send anyone talking shit or like posting like he can't win or can't do this or not strong enough, and they're all sending it through to me and then giving me a heap. But so that one I sort of went in with, you know, a bit of a point to prove like, nah, fuck you, so I know what I can do. So, but I think that one, just the position it put me in, that, like I said, the level of the fight, he was undefeated, I was undefeated, and and a lot of people thought I couldn't do it. So it was, and even when I was warming up out the back, I was hearing a lot of the pundits and that going, oh, it's a tough fight, and I don't know if he can pull it off. Is he at that level? And that was like, fuck he is. I'm going to show everyone, how good I am. And I thought in that fight, I really got to, especially later on, I got to show I'm a championship fighter. And this year, I've beat those sort of guys that are at that level. This year, I go again, and I one up it and become a world champion.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's on your hit list for 2024?
Look, whoever's got the belts, right now it's Inoue. If he's still got them, he's on the hit list. So, look, I'll take any fight that's got a world title at the end of it. And look, I'm not worried about anyone. I know how good I am and how good I can be, and I'll fight anyone that I have to win that. And that's a fight as well that I look at and go, that's a chance to, like, I'll win that fight. How can you not rank me in the top of the pound for pound list? He's sitting at either
there.
1 or 2. You
Yeah.
know, so fights like that, they're just that's a massive opportunity. So I'll take that with both hands if that opportunity presents itself. So he's got to get through Neary, and I assume he does. I thought the Neary fight was stylistically, I like that fight for myself, but
I like the Tapales one for you too. I thought that was going to be a great one.
I was spewing like we were trying to get Tapales, I know, back down here, but look, I think the money over in Japan as well that Inoue's bringing in right now, it's probably a bit bigger fight than fighting Sam Goodman before he's a world champion. So, I can understand it, but I thought that was a fight that I really could have, took my shot to be a unified champion. So I was gutted that we did miss out on that one, but it is what it is. We got 2 more big fights and 2 big wins towards the end of last year.
Absolutely.
And we rolled on with things. So it wasn't meant to be last year, but this year's the year.
What's the motivation on a fight like that with Inoue? Like, you hear everyone talk about he's a once-in-a-generation fighter, absolute freak, can't be beat. What's your motivation in that? Like, some people would steer away from a fight like that. Others would run towards it. If you do run towards it, why do you choose to?
Look, it's because of what it does for my life, not just my career, but my life. That fight, that changes my life overnight, So that's such a big opportunity, and it's that puts me up there with boxing greatness, winning fights like that. So it's all opportunity and all about achieving the goals I've set out to achieve, and that's massive for me. That changes my life overnight, and purely for that fact, I'll back myself to beat anyone. I don't, if I thought I couldn't do what I want to do, I wouldn't box. I'd go do something else. And I truly believe that I am the best, and I'll back myself every day of the week against Inoue or anyone else who's got the belts at the time. So we'll see how it all plays out. But if that's the fight that comes up, we're taking it.
It's been a hell of a journey, hasn't it, with No Limit and Sam Goodman. I remember when we first signed you, I think you were unranked at the time, and now you sit as number one and mandatory in 2 of the sanctioning bodies. How's that journey been?
Oh, it's been awesome, So it's like you said, I was unranked and relatively unknown. I was pretty new. I only fought on TV the once or twice before, and it was it was a massive moment for me changing over to No Limit, and it's been great. So it's been a big journey, and we're only just getting started though. So it's been good, but I think there's bigger nights ahead, and I'm looking forward to those. But yeah, like I said, unranked to world number 1, it hasn't been a bad first 2 years, and it's went by pretty quick. I've felt, so it's flown by, but you look from where I was to where I'm at now, it's been gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, outside of the Inoue fight, what other fights out there excite you? I know you've got a guy like Jason Maloney, who's the world champion in the division just below you. If he ever made the move up to your division, is that something that you'd see as something you'd have a crack at?
Oh, absolutely. So if Jace came up and wanted to take me on, for sure. So I'm not running or ducking or dodging no one. So if that fight popped up and that opportunity came up, absolutely. It's another world champion on my resume and another fighter I've got great respect for, and But yeah, if that opportunity did pop up, I think especially if I get my hands on a title, that's a massive domestic fight and something I think a lot of people would have a lot of interest in. So it's something you could really build and really hype up. And two Aussies fighting for a world title, that'd be huge. So it's definitely something I'd consider, whether they would or not. That's on them. But
Geez, I'll tell you what, it'd look good in the gong too, wouldn't it?
oh, it'd be sensational down there. It'd be rocking if we could get that one down at the gong. So I know they're all waiting on one for down there, but if we could bring something like that down there, eventually that would be huge. So
How do you feel about fighting in Wollongong? Because I know the last time that we went to Wollongong, we did a massive show down there with Paul Gallen in the big upset against Lucas Brown. The crowd was nuts.
Yeah,
it was absolutely nuts. The Wollongong Entertainment Centre was off its head, and I know that was just before you came across to us, and so you missed out on being on that card. How big of a, how big is it on your scale of things you want to do in fighting in Wollongong?
absolutely, it's something I've eyed off for a long time now, and I think it's just something you dream of as a kid, headlining big shows I remember going to, the entertainment centre to watch guys like Denny Gill when I was a kid, so, well, I probably would have been 10 or 11 back then. So nights like that watching, I think it might have been Chock and Denny Gill fought there. I definitely went and watched Daniel Gill there a few times, and I went and watched Denny Green at like Acer Arena and stuff like that. So, which is now Kudos, and I fought there. So,
Yeah.
look, got nights like those, you always stick with you. And as a kid, like they were big motivational factors in me going, I want to do this when I'm older. This is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. And now I'm starting to do it. Headline me last show, and yeah, that was an awesome experience. The fight, not so much. It was a bit of a prick of a fight, to be honest. But the whole experience leading in and the week of being main event, that was something I didn't take lightly, and I didn't approach anything really any different. It was a few more questions and stuff getting directed my way, but it was just something that I got to tick off my list of things I've achieved and things I'm doing. So it was it's something I'm keen to do a whole heap more of, and I know I've just got to keep on winning, keep on putting on big performances, and like I said, I'll capture these world titles, and I'll be doing a whole heck more of it. So it's but taking one to Wollongong, that's I think that's one of the next ones on me list. Is I really want to get a show down there, and for the fans that are they're always travelling, they're travelling fans for me. So to bring one home would be nice for them. It'd save them a little bit more in the pocket, and not do too much damage up on the Gold Coast or in Sydney.
Yeah. What is it about Wollongong that makes you so different?
It's just home for me. So it's home. It's loose. Everyone. It's sort of that community where everyone knows everyone, especially around the footy community. I think everyone's. That's where a big part of me fan base is stemmed from. So it's a lot of it's local, but it's just a grouse community. So it's something I'm proud to be a part of and proud to represent.
Wow, what are the odds of that?
Oops.
All right, we are back after that unexpected little break. Of course, our inaugural podcast, there has to be some sort of shit that goes wrong, and fire alarms in the building. Don't know who it was. Pete Matrevsky wasn't seen.
Pete Matrevsky could have been fucking around with I think I saw him sneak out, so it could be him.
It wouldn't surprise me. Could be any one of the Mad Bunch.
Could be.
Bunch.
Luke Phipps is quite mad as well, so he could be lingering around somewhere as well. So,
well, look, before we move on to the next part, I want to talk a little bit about the Mad Bunch, because it's one of the most interesting things in Australian boxing, I think, is the Mad Bunch. I remember the first time that I saw you fight, and you've got half of the crowd going nuts up there for you, and I was thinking, who the hell is this little bloke who's got half of the crowd chanting his name and singing songs? And the Mad Bunch, tell me a little bit about them and some of their craziest stories.
Oh, look, it kind of grew in my first amateur show down in Albion Park, so at the clubhouse there. My cousin and one of our good family friends, they were just pretty much blind as on the stairwell of the clubhouse, and they just started kicking off with Sammy, and it just sort of built from there. So it was really started from two pissed idiots at an amateur show, but And yeah, it's just grown and grown and grown. Now there's about 300 pissed idiots singing it. So it's good, and it's they all get rowdy. And ever since I've went pro, we've sort of tried to make it a bit of a night out and stuff for people, because you get a lot of people who don't really watch boxing, that they'll come to the fights because I'm fighting, sort of thing, from down our way. So it's sort of something we've tried to make people look forward to. And if it's in Sydney or whatever, we'll put buses on and drop everyone off at the town afterwards, and everyone kicks on. So it's sort of, we've just tried to build it into a bit of an event, and a few of the boys that love a carry on, and now they're travelling to Queensland. They're going everywhere. So I think when we had Vegas booked, we had like about 100 people like ready to go over to Vegas. So everyone was after flight vouchers and credits and stuff because of that. But look, it's unbelievable, and it's crazy the amount of support I get, and they're turning up every time, no matter where I'm fighting. So it's big, and they're all got that many stories and stuff they can tell from weekends away and at my fights. So they're all got the tattoos on their, like some have got it on their chest, some are, it's crazy. It started off, a few of my mates got me record like a couple of fights ago on their ass. And
So what the hell happens now? You kept fighting since
that's
then?
all right. We should have just got a tally, just kept crossing them off. But the Spastics went and got 12-0 on their ass cheeks, and I think I'm forever 12-0 now. So I was like, I want to get the tattoo gun out and touch it up. So, but yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That might have to be part of your thing. You bring a tattoo gun.
Yeah, bring a tattoo gun to the kick-ons afterwards.
Wipe the tally on.
Maybe the No Limit after party, we might have to get a tattoo gun out and do a few touch-up jobs, I think.
Well, I think the way your career's headed, they'll need some big cheeks if you want to get the tally on
Mate,
there.
they're big boys.
There's a
Don't
lot of
worry
wins
about
to come.
They're big boys. Don't worry about that. So, look, we can work the tally system out. They won't run out of room. So.
Well, look, there's definitely something special about Team Goodman and Wollongong. The vibe is there. I think we're going to have to make sure that we get down there sometime this year.
Yeah,
the sooner the better, you reckon?
Absolutely. I think it's definitely on the cards, and yeah, we're going to be looking at getting down there at some point this year for sure.
All right, let's move on to the next part. Rate it or hate it.
Let's go.
So I'm going to toss up a few fights to you, a few scenarios to you, and you just tell me your thoughts on it, how you feel about it, rate it or hate it. So let's open with AJ v Ngannou.
Rate it. Oh, I think it's interesting. I really think AJ gets it done, and I want him to get it done because obviously I'm on the team boxing side, and but Ngannou, you can't not look at his performance against Fury and be super impressed by it. It's he's just the specimen of a dude. You dig into his life story a bit.
Yeah.
What he's done so quickly in MMA, and now he's came over to boxing, and he's put down the lineal heavyweight champion. He's an absolute freak of a bloke. Like, you just have to take a look at him. So it's an interesting fight, because I think if he can touch Joshua, who knows how it goes. But I'm Team Joshua, and I'm backing AJ. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he does get it done, and hopefully inside the distance. I think it'll be a cracker of a fight.
I'm with you on that one. I really like both of their stories, and I think it's a good fight for boxing too. So
yeah, it's an interesting one.
Staying on the heavyweights, Fury v Usyk for undisputed.
Yeah, can't not rate it. So it's one of the fights everyone wants to see. All the belts getting unified. So that's massive, and I don't think there's been a heavyweight champ that's been undisputed in the four belt era. So I'm pretty sure of that. So I think that's going to be a massive fight, and it's another one that's a pick 'em fight, especially after I was definitely leaning more towards Fury. I thought he was going to be too big for Usyk, but now looking after the Ngannou fight, I don't want to read too much into it because it's a totally different fight to Usyk. But I think Usyk can surprise a lot of people as well. I think he's probably going to be the underdog, but I think I wouldn't be shocked if he did pull it off. He's an absolute freak.
Agree with you there. Crawford v Zhu. Terence Crawford v Tim Zhu.
Rate it. Can't not. Same thing. It's a massive fight, and look, it's a fight that will shoot Timmy to the probably same thing, top three in that pound for pound list. I think between Crawford and Inoue, they're the one or two depending on probably who you like. So I think a fight like that puts Tim at the top of boxing. So, you know, that's huge, and hopefully we can do it in Australia.
Geez, we're putting ourselves out there, aren't they? The top two pound for pound guys,
Yeah.
both up against the No Limit boys. So
100%. It's just showing, we're on that level and we're chasing all these big fights. So, look, if we get those fights, it's massive for not just Aussie boxing, but in boxing, that they're just massive fights. So, look, if we can be a part of them and not just be a part of them, win them, that's huge.
now let's come back to your division here. Inoue v Neary.
Can't rate it. I can't. So I want to fight for those belts, and I want my belts. So look, it's a good fight as a fan, but I'm not a fan of either of them. I'm there on my radar. So look, I'll be watching closely, but look, I can't rate that. I want my belts, and yeah, that's all there is to it.
Who would you rather fight out of the pair of them?
Whoever's got the belts. Whoever's got the belts. So look, they're both tough fights. So they both carry good power. I think Inoue is probably a bit better boxer than Neary, but Neary seems to have a bit of that thud in his punches, and he's a southpaw. So both totally different fights, totally different matchups. But I think I match up well against either of them, and I'll back my boxing ability against both.
Speaking of your boxing ability, Goodman v Aleem too. There's been a bit of chat around.
I can't rate that either. I've already beat him. So, look, like I said, he has to take a pay cut or something if he wants to fight me. I've already been there and I've already done it. So, look, there's not too much in fighting Aleem now. I've already beat him, and I thought I beat him, well enough for it to be a unanimous decision. He had a few excuses about coming over to Australia and all that jazz. So, but look, he's, to be honest, that's more looking back. I think for me, I'm looking at world titles, and unless I was fighting him for a world title or a significant pay rise against Aleem, I'll tell him where to go.
That's fair. Jumping off boxing for a second, Dragons recruitment. You said you're a Dragons fan. How do you feel about how they've recruited this year?
I think it's been a bit better. So I think I'm trying to stay optimistic, and hopefully we can have a good year. So look, I'll back the boys into hopefully we can make the finals this year and have a good crack at it. But look, I think we're got to be a bit better than last year. And look, I don't mind a few of the signings they've made. So I'm staying optimistic with them.
I think the beauty for them is the only way is up, right?
100%. So 100%. My second team's the Tigers as well. So it's my uncle's team. So I can't not support him when he's around.
Been a tough few years. Lucky you can fight.
He's a Tigers,
you win and fight.
Man, the footy's painful. So I tell people I'm a Panther at the moment, but yeah. So, but yeah. Hopefully it's a good year for the Dragons, and yeah, hopefully we can make finals.
All right, rate it or hate it, Kambosos, Lomachenko.
Rate it. It's a fight. I'm definitely getting tickets to. So Lomachenko's been probably my favourite fighter since I was 12 years old, and George has done big things for boxing. I went down and watched the Haney fights, and they were great events. But yeah, it's a tough fight for him, I think. But look, he's bringing a massive fight to Australia, and yeah, I'll be over there watching it for sure. I'm keen as for that one.
All right, moving on to the next segment of our inaugural podcast, Build Your Perfect Boxer. So I want to know, out of all of the eras of all of the great fighters that we've had, and I know you've been a big boxing fan, you followed a lot of fight careers. How would you build your perfect boxer? Who's some of the fighters that you would take from, and what are the things you'd take?
Just going off like attributes?
Yeah, attributes, yes.
Power, I'd probably go... have to be a heavyweight. You'd be thinking probably Mike Tyson, someone like that, I'd say. The speed, I'd definitely be going Roy Jones in his prime. I think he was just absolutely ruthless, the way he put punches together. Boxing IQ, I'd go Lomachenko. I might change that one, actually. I'll go footwork, I'll go Lomachenko.
Oh, yeah, very nice, very nice.
Boxing IQ, boxing brain. I think Terence Crawford at the moment, I think the way he goes about what he does is very very smart. So I don't think he's obviously carries a bit of power, but watching that Spence fight was was pretty special. I thought
That was unbelievable.
I think that was one of the best performances maybe I've ever seen. So I think his boxing IQ is very impressive, and defensively, I'll probably go Shakur Stevenson. I'm a big fan of the way Shakur defends, in the way he mixes up his defense. Obviously, you could say someone like Mayweather or whatever, he got hit the least, but I think how Shakur mixes up his defense, I think between his use of feet, his hands, and he does a bit of the bumping as well, I think his eye, it's so good, and I think he's definitely going to be one of the best in the years to come. I think he can take out the likes of anyone in that lightweight division. So I think he's pretty special.
Some pretty solid fighters there.
Yeah, 100%.
You put them all together, they make Sam Goodman.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, they make a pretty good fighter. So, but yeah, I'll try and learn off guys like that, and watch a lot of guys like that, and see what I can take and use, and the stuff I can't. Obviously, I don't hit like Mike Tyson, but yeah, I try and emulate a bit of what I see of other boxers.
Thank you very much for your time today, Sammy. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here on the inaugural No Limit Boxing podcast. I think we survived pretty well in this one.
Yeah, it was all right. A few fire alarms. We got past it all, but yeah, we got through it. So
I might be getting the tap on the shoulder for next week. You might see someone else in this seat. So, but it's been a pleasure having you on. I think it's going to be a great year ahead for you. What you did in 2023 was nothing short of amazing. The WBO Oriental Fighter of the Year too, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, we've actually got it here too. Let's present it to you while we're here. The WBO Oriental Fighter of the Year. There we go.
Yeah, good.
Sam Goodman. It was a great year for you, 2023, and I think it's only going to get better for 2024. So, looking forward to what we've got coming up very soon, and what makes for a really good year for you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And look, yeah, last year we put myself out there, but this year, I think I really get to take over and really put my name out there in all the boxing and become a world champion. So I'm ready for a massive year, and yeah, we get the ball rolling soon, hopefully.
I'm loving that energy.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, thanks guys for tuning in to our first episode of the No Limit Boxing podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, do the lot wherever you're listening, YouTube, Spotify. We're on TikTok now. No Limit's on TikTok, so make sure you're following us on there. Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're everywhere. Get behind it. It's going to be a great year for No Limit, and look forward to doing more of this in coming weeks.